Hey guys, how's it going? Wooksy here, and today I'm going to be showing you guys the boss set items and what the set effects do. Um, it's kind of hard to show you guys exactly what each set does because some of them rely on mobs having a ton of HP, and I can't really replicate that unless I do like a local save with like 1,000 wormhole or something. Um, but these are the boss sets. They drop from each end boss in the game. So, for example, Gurag's comes from Gurag, Death's comes from the Reaper, Anubis comes from Anubis, Damien's comes from Damien, Genji's comes from the Temple of Zamjo, Satan's set comes from Satan, and then Mevius set comes from Mevius. So without further ado, I will go into what each set does and hopefully show you guys how powerful some of these items can be. Some of these items actually can be stronger than set items or angelic items, so keep that in mind, and I hope you enjoyed the video. The next set I wanted to showcase is the Gurogs. One thing to keep in mind though is that the weapon and the amulet and charm kind of go against each other, and I'll show why. First off, you have the weapon, which is a really strong physical damage dealing weapon. It's on the slower side, but it does have a ton of life leech, ton of mana leech, a ton of strength percent, and the attack speed on it is just slow, but it has almost 80k damage. On a 98%, I would assume it would pull pretty close to 80,000 on 100%. However, then you get to the amulet, and it's just nothing but tank stats. It has no damage dealing stats other than the strength, and the damage return, which is not really a damage dealing stat unless you're a lancer. And then it has the all talents. And then the charm also doesn't have any damage dealing stats. It's pure HP, damage reduction, life per hit dodge. Um, so it doesn't really make sense. It doesn't make sense that the Garog's Crusher matches with the amulet and the heart. However, that's just what the set is right now. What the set does is every fifth attack slams the earth in front of you. So let's see, there was one. There's another one. So the AoE from it isn't too bad if you could stack plenty of attack speed. This would actually be a pretty decent set, depending on how much damage it does. I'm actually curious at how much each of those earthquakes do. Looked like around 3 million. So not a whole lot. It's probably comparable to the Mevius set in terms of actual mob damage, but it is set that's available. I know the weapon is actually super good on some classes, like on a samurai, it's really good, because it's comparable to like the death set in terms of damage. So the next set I want to show off is the death set. Death's Toll gives you a chance to cast a homing skull that damages enemies. This is by far the most OP set in the game. As you can tell, this procs all the time. It's a meme. This set's horrible in terms of the actual proc itself. It's just that single skull that comes out. Hardly procs, doesn't do like any damage at all. So in terms of the set bonus, it's not worth it. However, the actual items in the set are super worth it because the helmet is by far the best physical damage dealing helmet in the game. 177% phys damage on a helmet with attack speed is just disgusting. The weapon is extremely strong as well. A lot faster than the Gurogs, as you saw earlier in the video. But this does have a lot more damage on it in terms of attack speed. It does have mana leech as well, which is really useful. Then the gloves, These are better than the War Master Tribal Paws, so technically these are just like the upgrade to them. The only difference between these and the War Master Tribal Paws is that these have a lot more attack speed on them, and they don't have the life leech and the mana leech like the War Masters do. So if you're reliant on the mana leech, then these aren't a good option for you. But if you're not, then these are best in slot by far if you're a damage dealing or a physical damage dealing character. Can't beat them, best in slot. So this is the Anubis set. Um, Comes with a amulet, chest, gloves, and charm. For the most part, they just give a lot of health per second, some magic find. The gloves are best in slot for experience gain and magic find. Same with the charm, best in slot for experience gain, magic find. The chest is kind of what makes this build or what makes this set kind of bad. It doesn't really give good anything besides CDR. Um, so other than that, it's not a really good set. What the set bonus does though, you heal a portion of your HP when taking fatal damage. Hopefully I could show you that with these bees really quick. Quite tanky, I'm only wearing the 4 items. Let's see if it procs. There we go. You saw that little light proc. So that's what it does. Just heals you up. I don't know the cooldown on it though. So I'm just gonna give it about another couple seconds, see if I can get it to proc again. It's been about 10 seconds or so. Nope. So I don't know what the internal cooldown is on it. I'm gonna assume anywhere from 30 seconds to a minute. But it's not a bad set, just the chest itself is kind of the bad part of it. But I know you can do a Shockedin with this fairly well, so if you're having problems with farming experience on your Shockedin, this is quite a good set to use. The next set I'm going to really show off is the Satan set. It comes with the amulet, the chest, and the charm. They're above and beyond best in slot for Fizz based characters. It gives tons of physical damage, crit rate. The chest, tons of Fizz damage, tons of Fizz percent, a lot of strength, max HP, life per hit, so it's really good. The amulet, tons of Fizz damage as well, tons of attack speed. It's really hard to find those two stats together on an amulet. And then it does give the max health, max mana, all talents, life per hit. And then surprisingly, it gives a lot of armor percent too, and a lot of armor. I think the charm does give armor too. Yeah, the charm does give quite a bit of armor, and then the chest gives quite a bit. So you're not very squishy when you use this set, but how this set works, unfortunately, is decreases enemy armor on hit. So you have to actually get hit by the enemy to decrease the armor. As you can see now, I'm stacking debuffs on them. This would be super good on a Lancer. However, the actual armor itself is just best in slot for anyone that's using Fizz. It's just best in slot, can't beat it. But the only underlying problem is that you actually have to get hit to apply the armor debuff or the armor reduction debuff to the target. So at later wormholes, kinda is impossible. Seeing how most of the stuff would be one-shotting you. But that's how it works. The set is still amazing though. Still check it out. Just to highlight each piece real quick one more time. Hopefully I don't die to something. I mean, this is at 100% 1010. So really good stats. The next two sets I'm going to be showing you, I'll be showing you kind of both at the same time. It will be the Damien set and then the Mevius set. Let's go over the Damien's first though. It's an extremely strong set, so I want you to compare the Damien's head 100% max level to a spell shard. Um, I mean, you're getting a lot more damage percent from the magic damage. You're actually getting a ton of attack speed. I know it doesn't show comparison wise, but the spell shard is one of the fastest attacking weapons in the game. So, very close in terms of damage, but you're gaining a whole ton more magic damage, and then a bunch of energy, armor, life per hit. You're just gaining a ton more from this one. And then going over the amulet. So, the amulet's kind of weird, but cool at the same time. Gives a little bit of energy, a little bit of stam, ton of magic damage, and like a ton of magic percent damage. The weird thing about it is it gives a ton of attack speed too. I'll explain why this is really cool in a second, but having attack speed on this amulet is super important. Um, and then it also gives mana per second. Who cares? No one cares. The max health is only 3,000. Doesn't really matter too much. The last portion of this set is the Damien's Cage. Doesn't give a whole lot of anything besides energy percent, magic damage, and then the CDR. The CDR is really important because it plays a key role with getting as maximum or getting max CDR on this build. But what the Damien set does is gives your attacks splash damage on impact. So it'll be hard to show in this one. Maybe I could enter a higher wormhole and show you there. Let's see if I can do that real quick. I don't know what I have this wormhole set to. This is in local play, by the way. I think I have it set to 300. No, 200. Okay. So let's see if I could just gather some mobs up real quick. But it makes your attacks do splash damage. So you see how I'm attacking one mob and it's attacking or it's doing splash damage at the same time? It's kind of hard to showcase because I don't want to get one shot. Doesn't happen all the time. It is a proc, but it does proc quite a bit. It's really good for later wormholes when you're just sitting there having to wail away at a bunch of mobs. Fortunately, I can't really get a good grouping on them to showcase it. I couldn't showcase it in the video, however, this is really good if you get like multi-shot or burst shot on this helmet or on this weapon. Multi-shot for classes that isn't a pyro, but pyros get burst shot with it. It allows the cleaving effect to stack on the same target, so allows the cleaving effect to stack on the same target to do a ton of damage. So it's a really good set. Definitely worth looking into if you're a spellcaster. It's probably one of the best sets in the game. And the next set is the Mevius set. So what this set does is every time you cast a spell, it casts a meteor on the closest target to you within a 300 something range. That way you can't full clear the screen anymore like you used to, or full clear the map just standing in the center of the map. You used to be able to just stand in the center of the map, cast your spells, and the meteors would hit no matter how far away it was. It doesn't do that anymore, but it's still really good for clearing. And just to go over how each item is on here, and just to showcase one other thing really quick, the CDR on the helmet plays a really key part with the CDR on this charm, because it gets you almost CDR capped. But the helmet itself, best in slot for most casters. It's got some of the highest magic percent damage you can get. Also has all talents, CDR, max mana. No one really cares too much about that unless you're playing like a demon spawn. So that's the helmet. The chest is really good because it gives a ton of energy percent, decent magic damage, not the best, but it does give decent magic damage. It gives all talents, magic find, ton of magic find. Even though magic find's kind of a meme, it's still there. And then it does give mana per hit, so it isn't bad. Then the boots. The boots are really good for casters because it gives a ton of energy, ton of magic damage. Some of the highest I believe you can get on boots. And then the speed isn't too bad. It also gives all talents as well. So for a pair of boots, super good. The gloves, the worst part of the set. However, they're still not that bad because they give all talents. They also give speed, some magic damage, a little bit of life and mana, or max life, max mana. Who cares about that? A little bit of energy, a little bit of stamina. I hope they change these gloves so that they also give energy percent. I believe that's what these gloves need to be on par with anything else. But just to showcase how good these two sets work with each other. Now this is the Genji set. I'm showing it on a paladin, but for the sake of the video, I completely unspec the paladin. All my hero points are just into like defenses, so I don't get one shot while I'm trying to get a chain lightning to proc. And then I'm using the basic paladin gear. Other than the Genji's helm, which is what I would usually swap out for the Thunder Glory. But with the Genji set, Swift Energy gives you a chance to cast a Chain Lightning on hit. Does not proc very often, from my personal experience. And the reason why I don't like using it is because the helmet doesn't match the chest body, or the chest plate and the sword in terms of stats. For example, looking at the chest or at the helmet itself, it gives crit damage, attack speed, physical damage, CDR. So it gives fizz, which is odd on a lightning build. Then you look at the chest, gives a ton of lightning damage. That's all good. Then you look at the sword, it gives lightning and fizz, which is kind of weird. But it gives CDR too, so you're able to cap your CDR really easily. It's really good for farming on like a samurai, because just between the helmet and the sword, you're already capped on your crit. Or not your crit, but your CDR. And then it does give magic find on the sword. So let's go play around with it. See if we can get some chain lightnings to proc. So there's a couple. That's funny. See, it still doesn't proc all too much. But it is good on a paladin though. For example, if you do have your normal Heaven's Fury or Lightning Fury leveled up, between the two, you're getting a lot of procs. I mean, it looks like you're proccing lightning almost every single hit. So it definitely is decent with like Paladin, decent with Samurai, but the two sets kind of don't work well together, and it's hard to get crit capped without like a Dark Shroud or something. So you'd be having to stack a lot of Wii runes for this build to really be viable in terms of being a crit build. So I'm not sure what they really have intended for the helmet and everything, but what I do know is that this helmet is basically the angelic version of the judge, jury, and executioner. Let me get you a side-by-side comparison real quick, and I'll show you that. And this is what it looks like on the pyro. So we're just gonna run a desert really quick. It's super fast. And I'm able to use burst shot on my weapon, just because I am a pyro. I already get split shot. Absolutely just decimates everything. Getting a little bit of input lag, I apologize. Yeah, it just absolutely melts everything. I don't know why I'm getting so much input lag right now. Apologize for that if you're seeing it on the video. Hopefully it's not too bad. But yeah, it took no time at all. Was able to clear all that real easily. And those Mevius meteors are just taking out those elites down there. So one cool thing I like about the Mevius set is that the meteors do shoot through walls. So it is really nice to use, especially for like farming or if you're doing wormholes. It makes it a lot easier. So sometimes if you're just wanting to just sit right there and let the Mevius meteors do the damage they're gonna do, that's the way to do it. Now they only hit so far away, as you can see. They only hit within like 300 pixel range, so you can't sit there and off-screen stuff like you used to be able to with this build. But you could still do a little bit of shenanigans with it. I mean, you're still able to sit there and stand behind a wall and kill mobs. But these two sets together just absolutely decimate almost anything. They just work very well together. And then the only thing you need with the set is basically an ancient Aegis, so very easy to get.